All right, so there's a lot of people that feel stuck living in their parents' home, and there's really nothing tangible that they can point it to. So, like, the parents aren't hitting them, the parents aren't shouting at them, the parents aren't like actively telling them, ki, Arey, don't go out of the house, this and that, don't do this, don't do that. But you still feel stuck essentially. It's like it's an intangible. You can't point it out to one of these things that I mentioned before. And I've found out that basically, like, society, parents, and feminine fathers, they all do this to uh, essentially keep you protected, as in, because when you do something out of the ordinary that does not align with their mind or mindset, it goes against their philosophy, and they don't want that, because essentially they lose control over you. And that's a very powerful thing. Usually in families, mothers have this level of possessiveness over their sons, and fathers over their daughters. Very rarely will it happen the other way around, which is an interesting thing. But this is a symptom that me and many other people are feeling. But essentially, it's just a societal programming that you must act in a certain way, or you must say this, or you must not do this, or you want to achieve, like, you want to go after some goal, but that goal is maybe too crazy or too. We've identified this problem, okay, you feel stuck, but how do you actually tell, like, for sure that this is exactly what I'm facing right now? The way you know is that you constantly feel like you're doing something wrong. You're going against the norm, and you feel like the world is like not telling you that you are wrong, but you feel like the world is criticizing you, but nobody actually criticizes you, but you feel like you're in that box. If I give you an example, to this day, I know that my YouTube videos is something that I want to pursue. Yet, whenever I record in my house, I feel like I'm doing something illegal. I feel like I'm doing something wrong. Whereas if I would have been a good boy and studying on my desk all day, I would get that validation from my parents, and I would feel better. But that's not what I want to do. YouTube, even when I was running a business and making good money, I always felt I was doing something illegal, right? I would get criticism from my grandparents, bro. Like, full on, they would like like insult me almost. Ki, Arey, we don't do this kind of stuff. We don't do this business. We don't do that business. ये हमारे लिए नहीं है, ये it's like the saying ये हमारे नीचे है, like, basically. So what I really wanted to do always was is criticized by people. Especially, I don't care if others criticize it, but it's criticized by your own people. And this is how you can tell for sure that you are in a box that has basically invisible walls around it. The reason why you're feeling that you are doing something illegal is because they use guilt, and I specifically call this guilt traps. So I'll give you a few examples of guilt traps. So let's say you want to go to yeah, let's say you enrolled in a university and you don't want to go to university, and you're like, mom, dad, I want to leave university. Firstly, they might brush it off. They're like, "Arey nikal re, what nonsense." Then you come the second time, then you have a conversation, but again, it's in their favor. Then the third time, you're like, enough is enough. I'm gonna leave. Like, I'm telling them, like, I'm leaving today. The kind of reaction that will come from them will be like, it'll be a very, like, soft, guilty kind of reaction from them, where they're literally like telling you, "Arey, uh, won't you want to go to university? What if you don't get a career? What about us? What will we tell our relatives? What will we tell to your grandmom when she asks? What will we tell them?" It becomes all this, like, messed up garbage bullshit, where, like, it's not about you anymore. It's about how they feel and how they are guilting you into making them feel good. That's essentially a guilt trap. If we talk about a job, for example, when I was leaving my job initially, my boss, because I was a good employee, and my boss, initially, he's like, "Arey," uh, and bro, he guilt trapped me so bad that I fell for it. Listen to this. So he was telling, "Arey, why do you want to leave? What goals do you have?" Essentially, he asked me about my goals, And then I told him my goals, and then he said he gave me a way to achieve those goals somehow in by staying in his company. But it was a trap, bro. He trapped me damn badly. And then I stayed one more month than I initially planned to, because he guilt trapped me into staying the job, like by essentially not leaving. Okay, that's another example. If we talk about marriage, there is lots of pressure in Indian families about marrying the right person, this and that. Let's say like every girl you're seeing, let's say you're like doing an arranged marriage, and every girl you're seeing is just ugly. Like you don't want to marry her, but then like you've rejected like 50 girls at this point. At that point, your parents will like, or your entire family will guilt you. Like, are you're 26 years old now. You're 27. When will you have kids? When will you get married? Just marry the next one. It's fine. You can compromise a little, whatever. That's a like. Just observe this language. Whenever somebody's trying to convince you to do something that you don't want to do, it's always in the form of guilt. A father has to raise a son with discipline. We all probably know that. But the first person to object this kind of disciplinary fatherhood is the mother, because the mother does not like to see the child suffer, but she does not realize that the suffering itself is going to cause growth in her son. So let's say you're the husband, you're saying, son, go to that city alone. I know you're 12 years old, but here's some money, buy a ticket alone, go to this city and come back by tomorrow. Like that's a good learning lesson in my opinion. A lot of you in your entire life haven't even bought a train ticket or a flight ticket in your entire life. That's how like comfortable you are, and never even traveled alone. So that's a good like exercise to do for your son. But your wife will be the first one to guilt trap you. She'll be like, "Arey, what if this happens? What if an accident happens?" Till this day, whenever I go out, and I don't like telling my parents where I'm going. But you know who's the first one to bring up all this random garbage? My mother. She'll be like, "Arey, what if you get into an accident? What if this happens?" That it's a guilt trap, bro. It's like putting unnecessary fear in your mind. It's through guilt. It's not actual fear. It's guilt. Let's say if I'm actually going to a karate tournament, I used to play taekwondo. Then my mother is worried I might get hurt. That's fine. But when there's nothing actually wrong, and then there's still like criticism through guilt, that becomes a problem very quick. Now, this was individual examples. If we extrapolate it to like the society at large, we are constantly being guilted, especially as men. Like we're just being submissive enough that we are all acting like beta cucks. And I use beta cucks because like it just perfectly symbolizes how submissive we become. Like I'm reading a book right now in which they're saying that how to become free as a man, like you must tap into that primal like hairy beast that is inside of you, the one that has never cut his hair, never cut his beard, is all hairy here to your toe. He's like a monster, not a monster. He looks like a monster. He's a rebel basically. He's like, he does not conform to the norms. Like just think of like basic stuff, right? Oh, you should look like this. You should trim your hair in the certain way. You have to look like this. You have to dress like this. You have to act like this. You have to this and that. We hear it all the time. Why am I wearing this shirt? I don't know. Like, because I thought that this kind of a shirt makes me more attractive. That's why I bought it. It's a societal conditioning in a certain way. Everybody says on a build muscle, build muscle, build muscle, become big. Okay, but why? Like, I get the advantages with it, 100%, like health over everything. But if you don't want to do it, why are you still putting that unnecessary pressure? They're convincing you to build muscle through guilt. It's like the society is like, just remember that like the society does not have your best interest in hand. What you actually want to do is what you have to do all the times. So the solution to this is to just accept, firstly, to understand this, that these guilt traps exist in your home, outside, and everybody else. So the key thing is for you to firstly accept it, and then get out of these said environments where there is lots of guilt, lots of pressure, whether it's a job, whether it's your friend group, whether it's your like house. If you can't get out of the house, just like, I would suggest just like spend time out of the house, bro, because that guilt can absolutely crush you. Your environment will help you absolutely, and you have to find other people that will not guilt you into these kind of things. That will tell you, okay, you want to have. I always give this example. You don't want to get married ever and never have children and like sleep around all your life. Fine, as long as you are not being guilted into doing that. I was talking to my friend long time back about this thing where there is no right or wrong in life. Uh, if you want to make lots of money, fine. If you want to do this, whatever, as long as you're not guilty about it. When I'm recording this video right now, if I were in my house, I would have been guilty about it. Like, guilty as in, as I said in the start, I've been feeling like I'm committing a crime. If you want to truly be free, you have to like live like freely, as in you must not feel like you're committing a crime. Just do it guilt free. Whatever you want, just do it guilt free. As long as you do it guilt free, only the losers will criticize you, and people like me would understand what you are trying to achieve. Even though I don't agree with how you're living guilt free. Like Hitler, for example, like crazy example, but he was not guilty chopping up heads. But I'd suggest he was very happy with his life. I don't agree with him, whatever, but he was guilt free. And whatever, you can name any example of any successful person. They are all guilt free. They do not conform to anything, they do not answer to anybody. They live absolutely guilt free and live as if the other people are criminals, not them.